I'm Harold. I'm 86 years old. This is my wife, Denise. We've been married 60 years. Before you assume that means we did everything right, let me tell you something honest. There's one mistake we made for a very long time. It didn't look serious at first. It didn't involve shouting or walking out the door. It was quieter than that. We slowly stopped really talking to each other. Not about groceries or bills. We handled those just fine. I mean the kind of talking where you let the other person see what's going on inside you. The kind that feels a little uncomfortable but brings you closer. If someone had told me this on our wedding day in 1964, I would have nodded and thought, that won't be us. But it was.
I'm Denise. I'm 82. When Harold says we stop talking, he's right. And the hard part is, we didn't even notice it happening. From the outside, we looked fine. We raised 3 children. We paid our bills. We showed up to family gatherings together. People thought we were steady. Inside the house, though, there were years when I felt very alone sitting right next to him.
In the beginning, life was busy. We had a small house, not much money, and 3 children close in age. I worked long hours, sometimes overtime. I believed that was love. My father had been the same way. He didn't talk much about feelings. He worked, came home tired, ate dinner, and rested. That's what I saw growing up. So that's what I repeated. If I was worried about money, I kept it to myself. If I felt unsure about being a good father, I kept it to myself. If I felt stressed, I handled it quietly. I thought I was protecting my family by not bringing extra weight into the house. When Denise tried to talk about feeling overwhelmed, I would say, "It'll be okay." In my mind, that was reassurance. I wanted to fix things quickly and move on. What I didn't understand was that she didn't always need a solution. She needed connection. Over time, I became uncomfortable with deeper conversations, not because I didn't care, because I didn't know how to sit with emotions, even my own. Silence felt easier. Years went by like that. We didn't fight much. We weren't dramatic. We were just busy and responsible. From the outside, we looked solid, but something small was changing. We started keeping quiet about the things that bothered us. If I felt unappreciated, I didn't say it. If I felt tired beyond words, I didn't say it. Instead, I started keeping a quiet mental list. How many hours I worked, how many things I fixed around the house, how much pressure I carried. I never told her about that list, but it was there. And when you start measuring, even silently, warmth begins to fade.
I had my own list. I cooked every meal. I managed school forms, doctor visits, birthdays, laundry, groceries. I stayed up at night when the children were sick. I remembered everything. When he came home exhausted and quiet, part of me understood. Another part of me wanted him to see that I was exhausted too. But instead of saying that clearly, I swallowed it. If something hurt my feelings, I told myself it wasn't important. If I felt lonely, I told myself this is just what long marriages become. If he forgot something I asked him to do, it felt bigger than it should have, because I had my own silent record of everything I was already carrying. We never sat down and said, "Let's compete." But that's what it slowly felt like. two people trying to prove they were doing more. The house was full of routines. Breakfast at the same time, dinner at the same table, television in the evening. But real conversation became rare. I remember nights when the children were asleep and the house was finally quiet. I would sit next to him on the couch and think, say something real. Ask him something deeper. Sometimes I tried, sometimes I didn't. After a while, it felt easier not to try.
The moment I realized how far we had drifted wasn't dramatic. The kids were grown by then. The house was quiet in a different way. One evening, we were sitting in the living room. The television was on, but neither of us was paying attention. Denise turned to me and said very calmly, "I feel alone sometimes, even when you're here." She didn't raise her voice. She didn't accuse me. That's what made it hard to hear. I felt something heavy settle in my chest. I loved her. I never stopped loving her, but had I made her feel known? Had I made space for her thoughts, her fears, her hopes? I realized I knew her habits, but I didn't fully know her inner world anymore. And she didn't know mine either, because I hadn't let her. That night, we turned off the television. We talked. At first, it felt awkward. We had been married more than 40 years. You would think conversation would be easy. It wasn't, but it was honest. I admitted that I'd stayed quiet because I thought that was strength. I admitted that I'd been keeping score in my head. I admitted that I didn't always know how to talk about what I felt. That was the first real step back toward each other.
We didn't fix everything overnight. You can't undo decades of habits in one conversation. But we started making small changes. We began eating dinner at the table without the television more often. We started taking short walks in the evening, just around the block. Sometimes we talked about serious things. Sometimes we just talked about the day. When something small bothered me, I tried to say it gently and early instead of saving it for later. When he felt stressed, he began to tell me instead of carrying it alone. It felt unfamiliar at first, almost uncomfortable, but the distance slowly began to shrink. If you're listening to us and you're younger, I'll say this gently. Don't wait until the house feels empty to realize you stopped sharing your inner life. Speak before resentment builds. Don't keep score. And don't assume silence means everything is fine.
And remember this, you are not opponents. You are partners. There will be seasons when one of you carries more. That doesn't mean the other is failing. It means life is uneven sometimes. Talk about the hard things while they are still small. Be curious about the person sitting next to you. We can't get back the years when we lived side by side, but not fully connected. But we are grateful we found our way back to each other before it was too late. We're still here, still sitting together. And now we talk.